Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If transmigrated into One Piece and became a Marine. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. The series What If transmigrated into One Piece and became a Marine will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly at the end of the story. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if a venerated soul reincarnated in Danmachi world? What if transmigrated and taking over Ichigo's body? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 261, Sabo, Jax, Akira vs. God's Knights. Under Garling's command, the two God's Knights behind him sprang into action, accompanied by the 50 world government agents they had brought along. Of the two God Knights, one was a towering figure adorned in a bull skull mask, brandishing a formidable scythe weapon, known as Death Knight. The other was a dark-haired woman with a slightly aged appearance, dressed in armor similar to Garling's, recognized as Evening Knight Lyra Nox. As the God's Knights and world government agents sprang into action, Jax and Akira moved swiftly to confront the aged woman Lyra. Sabo-san, we'll handle this, grandma. You take care of that old skull mask thing. Jax exclaimed loudly, earning the death stare of the two God Knights. Especially Lyra, her entire being boiled in rage at being called grandma. She emanated a murderous breath that momentarily sent a shiver down Jax's spine. Though past her prime, she hadn't lost her beauty, with just a few white hairs interspersed among the black. Any mention of her age or disparaging remarks would make Lyra lose her composure. There are times she even beats fellow celestial dragons to a pulp for making bad remarks. Haha, good. Then, I will take care of him. Laughing a little, Sabo went to meet the other one called Death Knight. I've changed my mind, you insolent brats. I'll grant you both a painful death unseen by anyone for daring to insult a noble lady like me, Lyra spat through gritted teeth, her anger noticeable by anyone. She's not just a grandma, she's a venomous one. Akira, be careful. Don't let her poisonous words affect you or lead you astray. If you do, it could ruin your life. No one would marry you in the future. Jax shouted hurriedly with genuine concern in his eyes. It was that genuine concern that made the vein pop symbol appear on Akira's forehead. She nearly lunged at Jax in a fit of rage. But controlling her impulse, she shouted, "Shut up. Speak another word, I will kill you." Without bothering about Jax, she charged forward. Akira's body began to transform, her form enveloped in crackling lightning and shimmering feathers. Wings unfurled from her back, spanning wide and casting a shadow over the battlefield. The air crackled with energy as thunder sparkled dazzlingly around her. In a breathtaking display of power, Akira completed her transformation, assuming the form of the thunder bird granted by her mythical Zoan fruit. With wings of shimmering silver blue and feathers that sparked with electricity, she exuded an aura of unmatched power and noble beauty that left everyone in awe. Simultaneously, Jax unleashed the power of his cloud fruit ability, transforming into a towering cumulonimbus cloud, the cloud type capable of producing hail, thunder, and lightning. His towering form covered the entire cloud island, his imposing form rumbling with thunder and crackling with dancing lightning. With tactical understanding, Akira's avian form soared high into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Nice devil fruits. As Evening Knight Lyra smirked at their movements, her expression suddenly shifted as a bright flash of light streaked towards her, a golden, thick lightning bolt. Zzzzz pang. Sensing the danger present in the bolt, Lyra quickly reacted, covering her entire form with haki as a defensive measure. Despite her efforts, the force of the strike was overwhelming, hurling the God Knight far away with blood splashing. This lightning bolt was unlike any other, it was a superbolt. A combined attack developed by Jax and Akira that discharged a single, devastating bolt of lightning, unlike the flashes of lightning typically seen. It was only possible because both of them had lightning-style powers and had exceptional control over them. Stabilizing her body after being thrown several meters, Lyra frowned as she noticed smoke emanating from her left shoulder. The area was charred, indicating a severe injury from the lightning strike. What a powerful attack! I shouldn't have underestimated them. What happened, Lyra? Your clumsy moves are disgracing us, Garling chastised in a stern tone. Dusting off her clothes, Lyra snorted dismissively. I was careless since I had a playing mindset. It looks like I had to be serious. At the same time, Sabo faced the Death Knight who came charging at him and swung his massive scythe weapon, infused with haki. Sabo met the attack head-on, swiftly confronting it with his staff. Death Knight's scythe collided with Sabo's staff. The clash of their haki-infused weapons created a powerful shockwave that rippled through the air. Boom! The force of their collision reverberated across the battlefield, sending shockwaves in all directions and causing the cloud ground to show signs of splitting apart. You're pretty strong, Sabo commented, his eyes slightly narrowed. What's your name? Though I don't usually respond to those beneath me, I'll make an exception for you, considering you're slightly stronger than the last prey I played, the bull mask replied coolly. You can call me Death Knight. Meanwhile, the members of the Demon Squad, despite being outnumbered, faced off against the world government agents. But it was at this moment, the commanders of the Revolutionary Army emerged unexpectedly. Their sudden arrival startled the CP-0s who were on the lookout as they didn't sense their arrival. Phew, it seems we came on time, exclaimed Emporio Ivankov, commander of the G Army. Accompanying him were the other esteemed commanders of the Revolutionary Army. Karasu, commander of the North Army. Bello Betty, commander of the East Army. Morley, commander of the West Army. Lindbergh, commander of the South Army. Accompanying the commanders were the deputy commanders and a host of other revolutionary members. Together, they are a formidable force. With their arrival, the balance of power on the battlefield began to shift in favor of the revolutionaries. Just as the two sides were on the verge of engaging in a deadly confrontation, someone went to Mary Geos to make trouble. Madara's figure floated above the Red Continent, specifically above the Grand Pangaea Castle. It seems his presence was noticed by the world government as a overwhelming presence locked onto him. Blaze didn't lie, they are strong. Madara mused. Chapter 262, Dragon vs. Garling. The Cloud Island transformed into a battlefield as the two sides confronted one another. With the arrival of revolutionary commanders, the CP-0 agents were also forced to join the fray. The clashes of haki reverberated across the sky as if the very world itself trembled at the power unleashed in the battle. Seems like you've planned well, Dragon. Well done. Anything less would have been boring, remarked Garling with slight amusement as if he was enjoying the play. We are opposing the world government after all, we must fight with our lives on the line, Dragon replied in an indifferent tone. You opposed the world government without knowing our true strength. Let me show you a little bit. Saying this, Garling took action. His entire being crackled with black lightning energy while a wave of Haushiku haki erupted from him. Unlike the normal one, his presence was ominous and strange, exerting an overwhelming pressure that weighed heavily on all who were present on Cloud Island. Facing such a being, Dragon stood firm, unleashing his own conqueror's haki. A vigorous burst of willpower surged forth like a tidal wave, pushing back Garling's oppressive pressure. Boom! Clash of the Kings. The air crackled with black lightning streaks as their Haushiku clashed, sending shockwaves rippling through the surroundings. The titanic clash between two kings caused the very space to tremble. The intensity of the clash between Dragon and Garling was so overwhelming that it brought the other battles to a sudden halt. All eyes turned to witness the epic confrontation between them. As Dragon and Garling locked eyes, Garling wasted no time in taking action. With a swift move, he unsheathed his trademark weapon, a formidable saber with a rounded knuckleball guard, and launched a powerful slash aimed directly at Dragon. As his saber cleaved through the air, it unleashed a devastating compressed blue energy that tore through the very fabric of the Cloud Island, nearly splitting it in two. The sheer power of the slash was even greater than Hawkeye's most famous stunt known as the strongest slash in the world. As the slash surged towards Dragon with unstoppable intent to kill, Dragon responded by unleashing his devil fruit ability. In an instant, the weather around the Cloud Island shifted dramatically, powerful winds swirling and converging with incredible force. In a dazzling clash of two forces, Garling's devastating slash collided with Dragon's powerful gusts of wind. The atmosphere crackled with lightning streaks and swirling wind currents as the two sides opposed in midair. In a fierce contest, each force vied for dominance before Dragon's wind currents tore the slash into nothingness. A tense silence enveloped the battlefield, with everyone staying still as if a storm had passed through. Just a single clash between them nearly tore this island apart. With them playing like this, I won't be able to hold on much longer, Jax warned, doing his best to keep the Cloud Island from splitting into two. If the island splits in two, everyone will plummet to the ground. Hearing this, an idea struck Akira as she stood beside Jax. A plan began to form in her mind. Why don't they just allow the island to be destroyed, she thought to herself. After all, we can rescue everyone on their side from the fall. But she quickly dismissed the idea as she didn't know well about the abilities of the gods' knights. Underestimating them was not an option. You've developed the hurricane fruit ability quite well. Garling remarked at Dragon and assumed a stance with his sword for the next strike. With sparks flying in the air, the opponents on both sides locked eyes, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Oh, what a tense situation, Blaze observed the confrontation from a distance. Figureland Garling looks strong, as do the other gods' knights. Should I wait and see how Dragon deals with him? He mused. No, Madara should have started his games by now. I should finish them before the world government takes action. It was at that moment a notification sounded in his mind. His system issued a new task. Task: defeat Figureland Garling and destroy the gods' knights, CP0, and world government agents. Reward, plus 2.0 free attributes. Sweet. Blaze closed the system panel with a satisfied grin. Now I don't need to think hard. Merry Geos. Emerging from the rubble, Madara dusted his dusty pants and stood shirtless as his cloak and dress were shattered by the five elders' relentless onslaught of attacks. Still, it didn't reduce his imposing manner. Looking at the ruined surface, one can tell fierce and intense battle has raged across the terrain with all the craters and devastated land. Unminding the shattered land, Madara's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan turned into Rinnegan as he glanced at the five beasts in front of him. At that moment, he felt something and instinctively raised a hand to his forehead. A warmth of fresh blood. Seeing it, Madara chuckled before laughing loudly. Ha 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 ha. His wild laughter reverberated through the battlefield like thunder for a few seconds before coming to a halt. The five elders looked at each other, communicating mentally. Why is he laughing? He's crazy and audacious. In Naruto world, anyone familiar with the Uchiha clan would recognize it's the laughter of Uchiha Madara. To hear Madara's laughter means, chaos and destruction are not far behind. Ever since he failed to achieve his goal of bringing peace to the world, he felt hollow after being summoned to this world. Now, after fighting the five elders, he began to feel the familiar feeling. The thrill of battle and adrenaline coursing through him reminded him of the times he fought his best friend, Hashirama. In these fleeting moments, he is reminded of who he truly is, a Uchiha, a ninja born for blood and battle, destined to experience the thrill of battle until his last breath. I thought this world was boring and there's no strong person other than him, but now I can experience the thrill of battle again. Are you guys ready to dance? Madara asked with his Rinnegan narrowed slightly. Chapter 263, Madara vs. Five Elders. Madara, do you dare to attack our holy land? Saint Jagarsi Saturn, in the form of Gyuki, a monstrous bull spider, roared in rage. His eyes have changed shape again. It should be his strongest state. Be prepared. Saint Mars, in the form of Itsamade, a colossal monster bird with a serpentine body, observed his eyes and communicated with fellow elders. We must eliminate him at all costs. He dares to intrude upon Mary Geos. Saint Topman Warcury, in the form of Fingshi, resembling a boar demon with four tusks, voiced in his mind. I have a doubt he's colliding with Blaze. Saint Nusturo, in the form of Bakatsu, a skeletal horse, voiced his thoughts.
It's possible, Saint Jupiter, embodying the form of a giant sandworm, agreed. Who cares about your so-called Holy Land? It's nothing but insignificant scumland, Madara retorted disdainfully.
The five elders emanated a rich murderous intent, while Mars, in the form of a colossal monster bird, unleashed a devastating energy beam from his mouth at Madara. Facing the beam head-on, Madara snorted mockingly as the deep indigo Susanoo materialized around his body, shielding him from the incoming attack. His perfected Susanoo stands toweringly tall around 300 meters, exuding an imposing presence. Similar to the five elders, a ribbon of dark, flaming smoke coils around the back of Susanoo. Boom! Saint Mars's energy beam collided with Madara's Susanoo, resulting in a massive explosion.
However, despite the unparalleled power, the Susanoo remained unscathed. We have to do something, he's strong. Everyone, attack together.
The five elders in their beast forms attacked Madara together.
Facing their unified assault, Madara's Susanoo responded swiftly.
It formed seals with his hands and unleashed a powerful fire release, Great Fire Annihilation.
It was a sight to behold as the flames erupted from Susanoo's mouth. They surged outward and engulfed the area in a raging inferno. The flames of high temperature danced in intense fury. The five elders, caught amid the blazing onslaught, displayed no signs of panic or despair. With their strength, the flames may not even inflict minimal damage upon them.
Madara knew that such a jutsu wouldn't affect them much, it was merely a distraction. He activated his Rinnegan ability, Limbo, Border Jail.
The next moment, 4 clones materialized around the battlefield, unseen by the five elders.
These Limbo clones possessed the same abilities, strength, and combat prowess as himself, effectively multiplying his combat power. Due to existing in a separate dimension, the clones were immune to most conventional attacks and nearly impossible to defeat through direct means. Something invisible just appeared, St. Marcus Mars remarked. It should be one of his abilities. Yes, the other 4 also confirmed, their senses going on high alert. Even with their future sight, they only found the existence of the Limbo clones but couldn't find their location. Since Madara's appearance in the world government had been watching him closely. The five elders studied the abilities used by Madara to date, so when Madara employed Limbo, they immediately recognized it. As the Limbo clones launched their assault on 4 of the five elders, Madara's Susanoo swung its sword at Saturn, aiming to cleave his monstrous bull spider body into 2. Despite his armament hockey and tough skin, Saturn was unable to withstand the force of the attack. The sword strike blasted him through the air. Meanwhile, the Limbo clones engaged the other elders in battle. The air crackled with lightning streaks as they clashed. Despite their strength, they were unable to deal with the Limbo clones. While they managed to block the clones' attacks with hockey, they struggled to finish them off. Looking at the earth-shattering battle taking place in the distance, the celestial dragons residing in the domain of the gods were terrified. The world government agents and gods' knights swiftly began to evacuate them to a safe location.
Where are the marine admirals? Can't they see that Mary Geos is under attack?
A celestial dragon complained as he was escorted by his slaves and agents in black suits. I'm sorry, Saint Camel, an agent explained apologetically. The Marines are no longer under world government control. With the current fleet Admiral Blaze leading the Marines, there's friction between the world government and the Marines. The Marines are nothing more than dogs we've raised, a celestial dragon spat in anger.
What are the five saints thinking? If they can't be of any use, why do they still exist? Destroy them.
The agent remained silent.
They wanted to take action, but could they?
With Blaze's strength and influence, even the five elders were powerless to act against him.
Marine headquarters. A meeting was hurriedly called again.
Why there's a word again because just the previous day, they had gathered to discuss the defeat of Big Mom. Garp, Sengoku, Admiral Kizaru, Admiral Kuzan, and some key vice admirals arrived at the fleet admiral's office only to find Blaze dozing off, his eyes closed and feet propped up on the desk. Of course, it wasn't Blaze himself, it was a clone he left behind to maintain appearances.
But Sengoku didn't know this, so veins bulged on his forehead as he shouted, What are you doing, Blaze?
Upon hearing Sengoku's shout, the clone Blaze mechanically opened his eyes and welcomed them mindlessly. In the distance, the Blaze planning to engage God's Knight Figureland and others stopped in his tracks and hurriedly took control of the clone he left in the Marine headquarters with his consciousness. As soon as they saw Blaze's clone, everyone found something off.
Who are you? You dare to impersonate the Fleet Admiral of the Marines? Kuzan was ready to strike. Cool guys, it's me.
It's the clone I left behind.
The clone Blaze spoke.
With their haki, they could tell it was Blaze.
They found it odd as they didn't sense his presence the second ago. Sengoku asked, "Where are you?"
I had some urgent matters to attend to and I'm far away from headquarters. Blaze explained, his tone casual.
Tell me, what's the matter? The Vice Admiral hurriedly reported, there's been an attack on Mary Geos just a few minutes ago. We received news it's catastrophic. The Marines aren't under world government control anymore. We aren't responsible for their destruction, Blaze responded. But will the destruction of the world nobles have any impact on us or the people? Blaze asked. No. Then why convene the meeting? Are you still treating the world nobles as your masters?
A terrifying pressure fell on them and disappeared the next moment, but cold sweat appeared on everyone's faces.
He's scary. The Vice Admirals thought. Carry on with your tasks.
The world government's affairs are not our concern.
Blaze concluded the meeting.
The Vice Admirals left the office, and only Garp, Sengoku, Kizaru, and Kuzan remained behind.
Chapter 264, Limitless. Infinity. Blaze, what's going on? Sengoku asked, his voice tinged with unease.
They weren't fools, they knew Blaze had something to do with what was happening above the red line. But to what extent, and what his plan was, no one knew. And they weren't in a position to inquire or say something because he was too strong and deep down, they knew he was doing the right thing.
Regarding Sengoku's question, Blaze shrugged his shoulders. How would I know?
I know you don't want us to meddle in the clash between you and world government matters, but if you need my help, I will do it even if it means completely falling out with them, Kuzan spoke in a lazy but steady voice.
Kuzan!
Sengoku exclaimed, his eyes narrowing in objection. I appreciate it, Kuzan, but there's nothing to worry about. You guys do your duty, I will take care of everything. Blaze spoke with a casual smile.
Wahahaha.
I don't know what you're doing, brat, but I know you wouldn't do something that endangers the common people, Garp chuckled heartily. As for that scumbags, it doesn't matter if they are alive or not, it won't impact much.
Garp! Sengoku shouted again. Sengoku, we are retired. And, it's time the world changes.
Sengoku-san, I'm not opposing the world government for power or to rule, but to change the world, Blaze replied in a solemn tone and said, okay, everyone.
I have to go. I'm in the middle of something. With that, Blaze's clone returned to its previous mechanical state. Cloud Island.
Terminating the talk in Marine HQ, Blaze regained his consciousness from the clone and his gaze shifted towards the distant battlefield. He could feel the intensity from afar as Dragon and Figureland prepared for the next clash. In an instant, his figure flickered, and he arrived at the center of the battlefield. His presence made everyone pause, their eyes drawn to the imposing figure of Blaze.
Seeing Blaze, the tension among the world government side rose.
His mere presence and overwhelming amount of haki pressed down upon them like a mountain. This was no ordinary man, this was the world's strongest man, and his arrival could only mean one thing, he was behind everything. Oh my, what a pleasant surprise to encounter the Supreme Commander of the God Knights here.
Blaze smiled.
Figureland stepped forward, his gaze piercing as it met Blaze's. He spoke in a cold tone that echoed across the battlefield as we suspected, you are the one behind everything, Blaze.
Of course, it's me, Blaze admitted nonchalantly. Is there anyone else in the world who opposes the world government as openly as I do? I thought I made it abundantly clear. He continued, you shouldn't have come here, leaving your sanctum Mary Geos.
Figureland sneered with disdain, oomph.
Who do you think you are? Do you fancy yourself a god? You are nothing but a dog we raised, and we can put you down whenever we see fit. Is that so? Blaze's gaze narrowed while the air grew thick with mighty coercion. Blaze-san is terrifying. Jax exclaimed, wiping the sweat forming on his brow.
Don't let your guard down, Sabo cautioned, the other gods' knights are here. One misstep, and we're finished.
I don't think that's necessary, Akira chimed in. Their attention seems completely fixated on Blaze-san. Do it, Figureland commanded. Hearing his command, the other two god knights, Death Knight and Evening Knight Lyra Nox, attacked Blaze simultaneously.
At the same time, Figureland lunged forward, his sword gleaming with flashes of black lightning streaks. With a swift move, he appeared before Blaze and aimed a powerful slash directly at him. However, to the astonishment of everyone present, the sword stopped inches away from Blaze, as if striking an invisible wall. Figureland's eyes narrowed in surprise. He concentrated his entire strength into his sword, but no matter how much force he exerted, the blade didn't move an inch. It's futile, Blaze playfully mocked. You can't touch me. It was at that moment that Death Knight and Evening Knight Lyra flanked Blaze with their own attacks, but similar to Figureland, their attacks stopped inches away from Blaze. Is that all you've got? Blaze taunted in a calm voice. I expected more from the so-called Supreme Commander and noble god knights. No matter how much strength and haki they exerted, it didn't change a thing. What kind of power is this? Why aren't we able to touch him? Evening Knight Lyra exclaimed in a soft voice. If it were a devil fruit power, it could be countered by haki, but this is different. No wonder the five saints said he has the power to destroy the world. He's strong, the Death Knight commented solemnly. Unlike the other two god knights, Figureland felt something abnormal when he attacked. His slash didn't come to a complete stop, but instead, it slowed down to the point that it seemed like it stopped. To confirm his theory, Figureland launched another series of rapid slashes, but each time, his sword would stop just inches away from Blaze as if hitting an invisible wall. Enough, Blaze said, don't you see it's useless? The invisible barrier that stopped the attacks of the gods' knights was none other than Blaze's newly acquired technique, Limitless Infinity, obtained through the last lottery draw. As if understanding their doubt and thought, Blaze began to explain patiently. What you felt is an infinity. It creates an infinite space between me and others, making it impossible for any attacks to reach me. In simple sentences, your attacks slow down and never reach me. Now, how are you going to deal with me? I'm curious. Meanwhile, Dragon, Sabo, Jax, Akira, and others on the revolutionary side were in awe after hearing it. Is it a devil fruit power? Akira inquired. I doubt it. It feels different, Dragon mused, his expression thoughtful as he observed Blaze. As expected of Blaze-san? His abilities are truly remarkable, Sabo remarked, his tone tinged with admiration. Don't be so cocky. Figureland's voice carried a tone of anger as an intense surge of Haushiko haki erupted around him, crackling with power. A complex magic circle materialized beneath his feet, its intricate design pulsating with ominous energy. These circles bore a pentagram at their center, with 5 identical symbols adorning the space between their jags. This is... Blaze looked at the magic circle closely. Isn't this the summoning circle used by the 5 elders? Even Figureland can do this. Chapter 265, A Punch Destroys Everything. Back on Mary Geos. The 5 elder saints were locked in a desperate battle against Madara, a madman with overwhelming strength and bizarre abilities of the ninja world. Despite their immense power and experience, they found themselves unable to defend against the relentless onslaught, much less defeat him. In the midst of this titanic struggle, they received a call for reinforcements from Figureland. However, they were unable to respond as they were occupied by the assault of Madara. What's our plan? J. Garcia Saturn communicated telepathically, his gaze fixed on the colossal wooden statue with countless hands, clad in Madara's titanic indigo Susanoo. The sight was truly terrifying. We can't do anything right now. They planned it very well. Saint Nusjiro implied, his grip tightening on his samurai sword as one of the wooden hands punched at him. The punch sent shockwaves through the air, tearing apart the ground and shattering the very fabric of reality around them. The statue's hands moved with frightening speed and strength, targeting the elders, giving them no chance to react or dodge. Still, the 5 elders dodged and countered as best they could, but the sheer number of attacks was overwhelming. No matter how much damage they inflicted, it recovered to its original shape. It was as if Madara's power was seemingly limitless. "We need to find a way to destroy his technique," Saint Marcus Mars suggested. "I think we should focus on defending ourselves," Saint Shepherd Jew Peter stated. "Indeed. I don't think his powers are endless. If we can defend until then, we might stand a chance and even turn things around." Saint Topman Warcury expressed his thoughts. "Let's do it," the 5 elders exchanged glances as they decided. Madara, perched atop the wooden statue, looked down at the elder saints with a wild grin. "Is this the best the so-called rulers of the world can do?" His laughter echoed across the battlefield, filled with disdain and amusement. In the distance, the world government agents and celestial dragons couldn't believe their eyes. The combined might of the 5 elder saints was being pushed to its limits by a single unruly man. As the rulers of this world, they couldn't accept this fact. But, as onlookers, they had no choice but to hope the 5 elders would find a way to overcome Madara's overwhelming power. Unknown to them, a figure seated atop a throne in the depths of the Holy Land Merigios rose from their seat. Meanwhile, above the clouds, something massive began to stir, its movements unseen by those below. Back on Cloud Island, the battlefield was filled with tension as the significance of the ominous magic circle conjured by Figureland remained unknown. Meanwhile, the CP0 and world government agents who knew some things eagerly awaited the appearance of the 5 elder saints. However, as the seconds ticked by with no sign of the elders, an air of confusion and embarrassment began to settle over them. Even Figureland, the supreme commander of the God Knights, stood in puzzlement, his countenance pale with shame. Similarly, the other 2 God Knights wondered, "What's happening? Why haven't the elders arrived?" Blaze, standing tall and exuding an air of unparalleled haki, noticed their growing unease. With a smile, he remarked, "Were you expecting the 5 elders? I don't think they will come. They should be busy." His voice carried a teasing tone. Figureland's eyes widened as the realization hit him. Processing Blaze's words, a moment later, the truth dawned on him. "You attacked Merigios," he exclaimed, his voice filled with a mix of shock and fury. Blaze's lips curled into a smirk. "Bingo! While you were targeting our group, a greater battle rages at Merigios. Let's hope the 5 elders are strong enough to save it from being destroyed." The revelation shocked the world government agents, CP0 and 2 God Knights, who understood the implications. It signals something big with significant consequences. "It's time to bid you guys farewell," Blaze declared. "I'll give you one last chance. I'll deliver a punch at full strength. If you survive, I won't chase after you." As Figureland regained his composure following the failed summon of the 5 elders, he snorted in contempt. "Our plan indeed failed, but it doesn't mean we lost. We will fight till our last breath. We can't lose to an inferior being. How you view the world disgusts me. Disappear." Blaze's fist tightened, crackling with unfathomable power as the pressure around the Cloud Island shifted abruptly. Without hesitation, he unleashed a devastating punch toward the world government forces. His fist tore through the air like a thunderbolt, dashing towards its target with unstoppable force. The impact was cataclysmic, a blinding explosion of air and wind pressure. The first to face the attack was Figureland. For him, the moment seemed to stretch into eternity. Blaze's fist loomed larger and larger in his vision, towering over him like a colossus. Everything seemed to be in slow motion, but it sent a chill down Figureland's spine, as if death itself had come knocking at his door. The punch triggered a shockwave of unparalleled magnitude that surged outward, obliterating everything in its path. Despite his formidable strength, Figureland was no match for the sheer destructiveness of Blaze's punch. He was caught in the epicenter of the shockwave, unable to withstand the explosive power that surged through the battlefield. The supreme commander of the God Knights was flung backward while his black sword broke into fragments, his haki-shrouded body disintegrating under immense pressure. With a final, devastating burst, his body shattered and exploded into pieces, scattering flesh across the battlefield. Next to bear the brunt of the attack were the other two God Knights and the world government forces. Unlike Figureland, their defenses crumbled instantaneously, offering no resistance. Their bodies disintegrated into blood mist, leaving nothing but a crimson haze. The very fabric of space seemed to warp and fracture under the force of Blaze's punch. The sheer force of his strike split the sky, creating a chasm that extended from Cloud Island to as far as eyes could follow. From below, one can clearly see the devastating punch that extended for hundreds of kilometers. It was the first time Blaze had unleashed his full strength, 100% of his physical power with haki.
Chapter 266, Ancient Weapon. The aftermath of Blaze's punch left a deep, tense silence on the battlefield.
The once solid ground of Cloud Island had been obliterated, replaced by a nothingness where the island once stood. The only thing keeping everyone from plummeting into the blue sea below was Blaze's gravitational power, which held everyone in midair. The absolute power Blaze showed transcended the limits of this world and their understanding, unreasonable and unrivaled. The Revolutionary Army who witnessed everything was caught between awe and terror, realizing that they were in the presence of a true strongman. Blaze hovered in midair with his hand behind his back and a nonchalant expression. Looking at the world government forces that turned to blood and dust, he shrugged.
"Oh my, did I overdo it?"
His voice carried a casual tone as if he had done something insignificant. From the beginning, the world government forces never stood a chance against Blaze, whose strength had reached levels beyond their wildest dreams. The disparity in power between the two sides was stark, like night and day. Dragon was among those most affected by the display of power as he knew the strength of their opponents. In the blink of an eye, they were no more. He had always known Blaze was strong, but this was beyond anything he had imagined.
"Blaze-san is unbelievably strong,"
Akira muttered, her voice barely audible, still in shock.
"Ha ha ha. I knew it. That was so cool. Blaze-san, you're amazing. Please teach me that punch," Jax exclaimed excitedly.
"You fool, there's no technique to it."
"It's just a normal punch," Akira retorted. "What? I don't believe it."
"Even if I trained for a lifetime, I don't think I could ever reach his level," Sabo muttered in a whining tone. Their exchange snapped everyone out of their stupor, dispersing the tense atmosphere that had settled over them. The Revolutionary Army, who saw Blaze's strength, now began to see him as their pillar of hope, a person capable of truly challenging the world government's regime. Blaze, with his unmatched strength, indeed has the power to reshape the very fabric of the world. Noticing the reactions around him, Blaze chuckled.
"Okay, everyone.
The farce is over, but our fight has just begun. The era of the world government's power is coming to an end. But it won't be simple to dethrone them from their seat. They have some unbelievable powers, even ancient weapons." Hearing his words, Dragon solemnly remarked, "As I suspected. I've been researching this for a while, and with Vegapunk's help, we've discovered that the world government may possess an ancient weapon named Uranus. However, its true power remains unknown to us. Blaze, do you know something?" "I don't know much either, but the ancient weapon has the power to obliterate any island in the blink of an eye," Blaze replied.
Suddenly, Blaze sensed something.
"I'll be back in a minute," he said before disappearing from the spot.
Mary Geos. The clash between Madara Uchiha and the five elders had reached its peak. Madara, standing amidst the wreckage, let out a hearty laugh.
"Ha, you five fools are really strong." The five elders stood strong but were visibly exhausted and battered, their robes torn and stained with blood. Of course, they had inflicted significant damage on Madara as well, who bore his own share of injuries and showed signs of exhaustion. His chakra reserves were nearly depleted, even with a few drops of golden blood granted to him by Blaze.
"I have done my best, it's time to end this confrontation."
If he didn't act soon, there was a real possibility he might die here. From the start, his mission was to stall the five elders, not to fight to the death. Summoning every ounce of chakra left in his body, Madara made a hand seal. Seeing his actions, the five elders grew tense. After fighting him for so long, they dared not underestimate him. As if sensing something, they collectively raised their heads. A massive meteor hurtled down from the sky, casting a dark shadow over the entirety of Mary Geos. Its colossal size dwarfed everything below. If it fell, it would mean the end of Mary Geos. He still had such a hidden move up his sleeve, Saint Saturn muttered, preparing to take action. However, he found his entire body weak, drained from the intense battle. "This isn't good," St. Marcus Mars said, breathing heavily. "We've exhausted too much hockey in physical strength." As the meteor loomed overhead, frightening the world nobles and world government forces above the red line, something equally enormous could be seen hovering above the clouds. Without a doubt, it's the ancient weapon, Uranus. With a booming roar, Uranus unleashed a torrent of laser-like energy beams that struck the meteor, shattering it into fine particles that rained down harmlessly on Mary Geos. The five elders let out a sigh of relief as the meteor disintegrated. Despite their relief, a sense of shame gnawed at them. Their inability to handle the situation forced Imo-sama to take action directly. As the remains of the meteor scattered across the sky, Uranus hovered menacingly above without leaving. At the same time, Madara felt an oppressive force of death, as if an unseen power had locked onto him. He knew that if he stayed any longer, only death awaited him. Silently, Madara activated the last resort power given to him by Blaze. Just then, an energy beam streaked toward him, ready to incinerate him into ashes. A powerful surge erupted within Madara, enveloping him entirely in golden flames. In a blinding flash, he vanished from the battlefield, teleporting away. Though he escaped, his words echoed across the ruined battlefield, "Remember, this is far from over. I will return, and next time, not even your ancient weapons will save you." The energy beam from Uranus struck the ground where Madara had stood moments before, leaving a gaping hole that extended for hundreds of meters, a clear reminder of its extreme destructive power. Chapter 267, It's Time. The five elders, their breaths heavy with exhaustion, exchanged weary glances amidst the ruins of the Red Line. Despite their super hockey, they couldn't detect Madara's presence nearby. "He's gone," Saint Nusjiro declared solemnly, wiping blood from his blade. His face was heavy with the failure to eradicate the threat of Madara. Saint Marcus Mars muttered in a silent voice, "I can't believe we let him escape, especially after revealing the power of the ancient weapon. Now, he knows about it." They struggled to accept that a single man had pushed them to such lengths. Above the clouds of Mary Geos, the massive form of Uranus had vanished, leaving no trace of its presence. At that moment, an authoritative voice echoed in their minds, "Come and see me." Imo-sama had summoned them. The five elders immediately made their way to Pangaea Castle, their hearts heavy with the disappointment of failure. The place where the Cloud Island once was. As soon as Blaze disappeared, the gravity that had helped everyone suspend in midair vanished, and cries of surprise and alarm erupted immediately. Without someone to stabilize the fall, everyone began to plummet toward the sea below, except for those who naturally had the ability to stay in midair. "Oh my God, we're falling," a member of the Revolutionary Army yelled at the top of his lungs. "Hee-ha! We're really falling. Wait, I'm fine," Ivankov exclaimed, effortlessly kicking the air to stay afloat. "Ivankov-sama, you fooled us all, but we really are falling," the crowd cried in panic as they continued to fall. Blaze-san forgot we were suspending in mid-air with the help of his power. "Jax, do something," Akira shouted, transforming into her Thunderbird form. "I'm on it." Jax responded, stretching out his hands to summon a large, cushioned cloud for everyone to stand on. The soft, billowing cloud formed quickly, but it materialized above the falling crowd. Seeing this, Dragon used his devil fruit powers to control the wind. With a powerful gust, he directed the revolutionary members towards the cloud Jax had created, ensuring their safe landing. "I think I saw a death god," a black-cloaked, scythe-wielding figure, one member of the Revolutionary Army said, lying on the cloud surface with a pale face, nearly having seen his death.
Ah, this is so fun! Sabo exclaimed fearlessly. No, it's not, Hack commented grimly. Unknown island some distance away from Redline.
Blaze appeared next to Madara, who lay on the ground with his eyes closed, exhausted but with a satisfied grin on his face. Sensing Blaze's presence, Madara spoke with his eyes closed.
It's been a long time since I fought such a hearty battle, he said, savoring the exhilaration of the intense fight. Blaze looked down at Madara with a slight smile. Well, you fought against 5 elders who are nearly the immortals of this world. It must have been quite an entertaining fight. How was it? Are they formidable? Madara opened his eyes and said, they are indeed overwhelmingly strong. But if I had the power of the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, I could kill them like ants. However, I sensed a formidable presence in Mary Geos and saw the power of the ancient weapon you mentioned. It's terrifying. If we want to overthrow them, we need to overcome that ancient weapon. But considering your strength, I think it's not a big deal. Blaze nodded, still as casual. Good. Let's go and discuss a strategy. We can't wait for them to make the first move. He teleported with Madara to Cloud Island, appearing in the midst of the members of the Revolutionary Army who lay sprawled on the newly created cushioned clouds. Seeing Blaze's appearance, they all looked at him with a weird looks. It was only then that Blaze remembered his action and what he had done. Sorry, guys. I completely forgot, he apologized with a hint of embarrassment. To escape the embarrassment, he showed a serious demeanor and spoke, as you know, while we were fighting here, Madara fought with the 5 elders. He even forced them to show the ancient weapon, Uranus. I think it's time. We need to plan our next move and do it now before they recover and strike back. Blaze said seriously and looked at everyone before he continued. What do you guys think? Are you ready to change the world? Yes, everyone replied with a fierce cry, determined to end the world government's reign. Let's do it! Jax yelled, his fist clenched with resolve. I've trained for this moment, Akira stated, a raging fire burning in her eyes. Finally! Let's change this sick world. Sabo commented. What's the plan? Dragon asked. Just like we discussed before. I will be the vanguard. You guys are responsible for destroying the tail ends like God Knights, Cypher Pole, and other world government forces from the rear. Blaze said. Are you sure about this? Dargan asked. According to the strategy, Blaze would indeed face off against the 5 elders and the mysterious presence present in Mary Geos. Yeah. Nothing to worry about. Can he do it? Dragon thought but decided to trust Blaze. If anyone could fight the monsters, it was Blaze. Akira, Sabo, Jax, and revolutionary members stood ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead in their way to bring down the world government and reshape history. Blaze's gaze swept over everyone. We'll strike at sunset. Let's do it. Dragon, it's up to you now. Dragon nodded solemnly. It was time for him to do the role of Revolutionary Amrei's supreme commander. Blaze then turned to Jax, Akira, and Sabo. You guys, be careful. Don't lose your life in vain. Blaze then left with Madara. He needs to make other preparations and consider the safety of his loved ones like Boa Hancock. Who knows what will the world government do when backed into a corner? Watching Blaze leave, Dragon took a deep breath and turned to his companions who had stood by him for so long. Prepare yourselves, everyone. We'll set out before sunset. Chapter 268, Egghead Attacked. After Blaze and Madara traveled some distance, Blaze checked his reward. Task: defeated Figureland Garling and destroyed the Gods Knights, CP0, and world government agents. Reward, plus 2.0 free attributes. Name, Blaze Hunt. Occupation, Marine. Constitution, 100, Half-God. Devil Fruit, 96.0. Hockey, 100.0. Free attribute points, 4.0. With a sense of accomplishment,
Blaze allocated the 4 free attribute points to his Devil Fruit ability, raising it to 100.0. As soon as he completed the enhancement, a profound sensation washed over him. His Devil Fruit power underwent a massive transformation. For the first time, he felt truly godlike. Rays of golden light radiated from his body, casting a brilliant aura that extended outward, bathing the surroundings in a luminous glow. Finally! At that moment, he felt like he was the sun. With a wave of his hand could summon terrifying flames capable of destroying large islands in an instant. With this power, I doubt even the 5 elders can withstand a move from me. A mixture of emotions flickered across his face as he became lost in his memories of his journey from weak to strong, and the years of training and fighting strong opponents had finally led him to reach the true pinnacle of this world. What happened? Madara asked, his curiosity piqued by the sudden change in Blaze's aura. Just a small increase in strength, Blaze replied with a nonchalant shrug. It seems like you've become even more terrifying, Madara snorted. I don't understand how you keep getting stronger without doing anything. Amazon Lily. In a private room, Blaze held Hancock in a warm embrace, feeling her soft body. It's been some time, my wife, he murmured softly. Hancock rested her head on his broad shoulders, enjoying his scent. Yes, it has, she replied, her voice filled with happiness. But sensing his silence, she asked. Husband, is everything okay? Blaze nodded, though his expression remained serious. Yes, but we are going for a final battle with the world government tomorrow. Hancock's eyes widened slightly. What? Blaze's grip tightened around her, reassuring her. Yes, it's time. Considering my husband's strength, the world government is no match. Blaze smiled at her confidence. Of course, I'm strong, but I'm worried they will target you and this island. That's why I came, to make sure Amazon Lily is safe in my absence. Only when I'm confident of your safety, I can fight the battle with peace of mind. Hancock's expression softened, understanding his concern for her and her people. You don't have to worry about us. With my strength, defending my people is no problem. Unlike in the original timeline, Hancock had grown significantly stronger, thanks to Blaze training her during his free time. Her armament haki could now destroy internally, and she had mastered Haushiko haki to infuse her attacks. I know you can, but this is different. Hancock nodded, accepting his protectiveness. She enjoyed this feeling of being protected by Blaze. Very well, my husband. Do what you must. Blaze kissed her forehead tenderly. Good. I promise that once all of this is over, we will have a peaceful life away from all this fighting and killing. Hancock smiled, okay. Blaze and Hancock stepped outside to join Madara, Hancock's sisters, and Elder Nyan, who were all waiting. Madara, leave 2 of your wooden clones here, Blaze said. I will infuse them with my power, making them more than capable of protecting this island. In unforeseen situations, your clones will ensure everyone's safety. Madara nodded and made a seal. 2 wooden clones emerged from his body. As the clones stood before him, Blaze placed his hand on their shoulders, channeling his golden energy into them. The clones' wooden exterior showed no visible change, but a drop of golden power formed within their bodies. With a thought, the clones can activate their power. Blaze then turned to Hancock and said, this should be enough to defend against any threats. Even if anything happens to the clones, I can come here in an instant. Hancock nodded, she believes in Blaze 100%. Blaze then glanced at Madara. Let's go, he said, waving his hand to Hancock. With that, both he and Madara disappeared from Amazon Lily. After leaving the island, Blaze made his way to Marine headquarters. There was an emergency and his presence was needed while Madara had gone to meet with Dragon and the others. In the Fleet Admiral's office, Sengoku, Garp, Kuzan, and several Vice Admirals were gathered, their faces stern. What happened? Blaze asked, his tone casual. A Marine officer stepped forward to report. Egghead Island was attacked by the world government forces. The main attacker was none other than former Admiral Akainu. Blaze's eyes narrowed. Tell me the details.
An hour ago, we received a distress signal from Egghead Island. The message stated they were under attack by world government forces, the officer began. According to the report, aside from Akainu, one of the 5 elders came in person. Oh? According to Vegapunk, they are here for an item called Mother Flame. The officer continued. As soon as we got the information, Admiral Kizaru and Fujitora went there in person. If the Mother Flame is stolen, it would be disastrous, as Blaze knew it might be the power source for the ancient weapon Uranus. What is the status of Egghead Island now? Blaze asked. We're still awaiting updates from Admiral Kizaru. He will reach the island in a few minutes, replied the Marine officer. Not good. I will go there in person.
Sengoku and Garp exchanged a glance, sensing the gravity of the situation.
Sengoku asked, Blaze, what happened? Is the Mother Flame important?
Very, Blaze responded solemnly.
If the world government gets hold of it, they could destroy any island in the blink of an eye.
Hearing it, everyone's expression changed.
Egghead Island.
The island, once hailed as the island of the future, now lay in ruins. The landscape, once bustling with advanced technology and innovative products, was in flames, with only Vegapunk's laboratory situated above the clouds remaining untouched, protected by an impenetrable energy dome.
The rest of the island bubbled with magma, thanks to Akainu's devastating attacks.
Vegapunk, surrender yourself and hand over the Mother Flame, Saint Jagarika Saturn's voice boomed through the destruction.
Considering your contributions, I might let you live. Otherwise, you will meet your end.
Behind him stood the world government forces and Seraphim, all now under his control.
Chapter 269, Egghead Attacked 2. Egghead Island.
Vegapunk and his satellites stood behind the protective energy dome, their faces marked with frustration. They had been betrayed by York, which allowed the world government forces to invade their territory easily and seize control of the Seraphim. Aside from them, Bartholomew Kuma was also present, standing quietly behind the group. We received word from the Marines, Shaka, one of Vegapunk's satellites, announced.
Fleet Admiral Blaze will be here soon.
Good, Vegapunk said, letting out a sigh of relief. He knew Blaze well and was confident in his strength.
With Blaze coming, they no longer needed to worry about the world government's attacks. They just needed to protect themselves until his arrival.
Looking at St. J. Garcia Saturn, Vegapunk spoke without any fear. Please leave. We've notified the Marines, and Blaze will be here any minute.
Are you threatening me?
St. J. Garcia Saturn's countenance turned with anger. Ever since Blaze ascended to the position of Fleet Admiral and began to oppose the world government, they had been hearing this phrase a lot. An ominous breath escaped from St. J. Garcia Saturn as he glared at Vegapunk hiding behind the protective energy dome. The energy dome doesn't have an unlimited energy supply, York interjected, her voice tinged with urgency. With continuous attacks, we can break it. She didn't want any of the Vegapunks to escape.
She wants to be the only one.
Sakazuki, kill them, Saturn commanded coldly. At the same time, he ordered, Seraphim, attack the protective dome. The Seraphim, adhering to their strict authority hierarchy, listened to Saturn and began their assault on the energy dome in a coordinated manner. On the other side, Akainu's entire being burned with molten magma, as he unleashed torrents of magma fist toward the dome in an unending barrage. Each attack was imbued with haki, adding a terrifying power that threatened to crush the protective barrier. Blasts of energy and powerful strikes reverberated through the air as they made contact with the protective dome, weakening its defenses.
Damn that bastard York, Lilith cursed.
The power reserves are depleting rapidly, Edison spoke, as he checked the device.
We are running out of time. Vegapunk's eyes locked onto Edison, his expression turning grim. How much time do we have left? Maybe a minute.
As Saturn prepared to launch a devastating attack to break the dome on his own, he suddenly sensed a powerful presence above Egghead Island. He's here. His eyes widened a little as he looked above.
Sakazuki's countenance also changed.
He halted his attacks and glanced upward. Hovering mid-air, Blaze descended with an aura so overwhelming that it seemed to pulse with power.
His gaze locked onto Saturn, with overpowering momentum.
"It's been a while, Saint Saturn," Blaze's voice resonated with casual nonchalance. The sheer magnitude of Blaze's presence struck fear into the world government forces, who abruptly halted their attacks and stood trembling, unable to move under the weight of his godlike aura. Vegapunk and his satellites looked at Blaze with a sigh of relief, their tense hearts finally relaxed seeing his arrival.
"Blaze!"
Saturn glared at him, his eyes filled with a murderous aura. Ignoring Saturn's murderous glare, Blaze turned his attention to the magma man beside him.
"Sakazuki, it looks like you're hellbent on opposing me.
I thought you might do something interesting upon leaving the Marines, but here you are, still playing the loyal dog to someone else."
Snort!
Sakazuki scowled at Blaze, but his entire body was tense and on high alert, ready to strike any moment. "Enough talk," Saturn snarled, transforming into a human Gyuki hybrid while dark, flaming smoke ribboned around his shoulders and torso.
Blaze might be strong, but Saturn wasn't afraid.
He wasn't arrogant, he was confident in his abilities and strength.
He commanded the Seraphim and Sakazuki, attack.
The Seraphim were the first to move, obeying his orders unconditionally. There were 5, S-Hawk, S-Bear, S-Shark, S-King, and S-Joker.
They launched their attacks simultaneously, each strike aimed with precision. At the same time, Sakazuki lunged forward with a fearsome roar, unleashing his signature attack Daifunka. His hand transformed into a giant magma fist, imbued with haki, and rocketed toward Blaze.
Seeing the barrage of attacks coming at him, Blaze stood calmly with his hands in his pockets, showing no sign of counterattacking or defending. Every attack suspended just centimeters from his body, as if hitting an invisible barrier, unable to move forward.
Amid the chaos, Saturn seized the opportunity to strike.
He moved at incredible speed, becoming a blur as he appeared behind Blaze. With a leg crackling with dark energy, he stabbed with his venomous sharp leg, aiming directly at the rear of Blaze's head. Like the others, his attack stopped just centimeters from Blaze's body.
"What?"
Saturn thought in disbelief. Realizing his sneak attack had failed, he swiftly retreated behind Akainu and the Seraphim.
"My turn," Blaze declared, raising both his hands outward.
With a quiet voice, he uttered, "God's push." A tremendous repulsive force erupted from Blaze, radiating outward with him at its center. The force swept across the landscape, obliterating everything in its path. Buildings crumbled and disintegrated, and the ground itself was torn apart. The entire Egghead Island was transformed into a deep crater, the once futuristic island reduced to nothingness. Only Saturn managed to withstand the devastating attack. He unleashed an invisible haki to slash through the repulsive force and dug his sharp legs into the ground to anchor himself. Despite his efforts, he was still dragged several meters along the ground. Seeing this, Blaze remarked, "Impressive." His words were a slap in the face, making Saturn's expression turn even uglier. Seconds later, Akainu and the Seraphim re-emerged without any obvious wounds, as Blaze hadn't used haki in his attacks. However, the world government forces were nowhere to be seen. Inside the protective energy dome, Vegapunk and his satellites watched the unfolding attack with a mixture of awe. Vegapunk commented, "He's grown incredibly strong since I last saw him, but he doesn't have to destroy the entire island." Atlas spoke softly, "Well, it doesn't matter.
We can rebuild it." No major inventions were down below. "Should I go and help?" Kuma asked.
"No need," Vegapunk replied.
"Just send the others away from the island."
Chapter 270, Before the Final Battle.
"I'm going kill you."
Sakazuki roared, he lunged forward with magma erupting from his body. At the same time, Seraphim too attacked. Blaze, unperturbed by their attacks, did not waste time on words. With a mere wave of his hand, white flames of pure destruction materialized behind him, taking the form of deadly spears. Their intense heat began to melt the air around them, distorting the very atmosphere.
ZZZ.
With a thought, Blaze shot the flame spears forward. They fired through the air, setting the ground ablaze, locking on Sakazuki, the Seraphim, and Saturn. None of them could evade the attack as each flaming spear struck squarely in their chest, igniting a fierce conflagration that began to consume their entire bodies. Sakazuki, despite his formidable haki, could only slow the flames from burning him. Even after transforming into his magma form, he couldn't halt the flames' advance. Ah! The flames began to disintegrate his haki, engulfing him entirely. Despite his nature as a magma man, he could do nothing but scream in agony as the flames burned his body bit by bit. The Seraphim fared better assisted by their Lunarian bloodline. However, within seconds, the flames on their backs were extinguished. Soon, their bodies turned to dust under the merciless heat. On the other hand, Saturn, with his near-immortal physique, managed to survive the flames' assault. He withstood the attack by continuously regenerating the burning region. With his immense haki, he extinguished the flames while the hole in his chest regenerated completely. Meanwhile, Sakazuki, despite struggling with all his might, could do nothing to stave off the flames. He fell to the ground with a gaping hole in his chest, barely clinging to life. "You're strong, Blaze," Saturn admitted. "But not strong enough to stop us." Blaze's eyes gleamed with amusement. "Is that so?" In an instant, Blaze's overwhelming presence emanated with dark tendrils of Hashiko Haki. The sheer vision of his Hashiko Haki spread over several kilometers, creating a tangible pressure that weighed heavily upon everything within its reach. Standing just a few meters away, Saturn felt the crushing pressure of Blaze's haki. Under its immense force, he was forced back into his human form. Suddenly, a magical circle ignited on the ground beneath Saturn's feet, emanating a strange power. Seeing this, Blaze narrowed his eyes and understood what was happening. The other elders must have summoned him, knowing the situation wasn't good here. But Blaze didn't try to stop. He simply stated, "Prepare yourself. Say this to your boss, I am coming." Hearing his words, Saturn's pupil shrank as he vanished entirely while the magical circle crackled and then dissipated, leaving behind only the faint traces of its presence. Vegapunk and his satellites watched the scene unfold with awestruck expressions. The major danger from the world government had passed, but Vegapunk knew they wouldn't stop until they acquired the Mother Flame. "He's gone," Shaka said, feeling relieved from the oppressive presence of Saint Saturn. "For now," Vegapunk replied and looked at the aftermath of the battle. The destruction of Egghead Island stood as a stark reminder to him of the immense power held by the world government, but such beings stand no chance against Blaze. Vegapunk knew that the ultimate showdown between Blaze and the world government was inevitable. Their victory would decide the world's fate. Blaze walked over to Sakazuki, who was at his last breath, and said in a soft voice, "Serve the right master in your next life, Sakazuki." With a swift gesture, blackish lightning crackled from his hand and struck Sakazuki's head, ending his life in an instant. Finishing off Sakazuki, Blaze turned his attention back to Vegapunk and his group. With a flash, he teleported next to them. "Long time no see, Vegapunk. Prepare to move. The island isn't safe anymore. The world government won't give up." Vegapunk nodded, his expression serious. "Understood, Blaze. We will make the necessary preparations." Under Vegapunk's command, his satellites quickly moved to gather important research materials and essential things. After that, Vegapunk turned to Blaze. "Come with me," he said, leading Blaze to a floor containing the Mother Flame. A golden flame suspended inside a gigantic, reactor-like tank of undisclosed liquid. Looking at the flame, Blaze interpreted the characteristics of it with a look. "It seems like he created the flame with technology similar to nuclear fusion." Vegapunk spoke. The Mother Flame was originally developed to be a source of unlimited energy, an undying flame meant to advance modern civilization and fulfill my primary goal of freely available energy. However, I didn't expect it would help the world government to power up something terrifying. Blaze smiled. "It looks like you know about it." "Of course," Vegapunk replied, his voice laced with concern. "I saw what happened above the red line. It doesn't matter even if the world government gets it, such things pose no threat to me. However, it's true that in the right hands, this could change the entire world for the better." Blaze said and continued.
If nothing goes wrong, there won't be anything called world government after tomorrow.
Once they're gone, you can research with confidence and work towards the betterment of the world. Hearing this, Vegapunk's eyes widened in shock before he composed himself.
Is it happening today?
Yes,
Blaze confirmed with a casual nod.
Okay, Vegapunk.
I have some matters to attend to. Kizaru will arrive in a few minutes and ensure your safety.
Blaze said this and his form disappeared from the spot. Marine headquarters.
Blaze's form appeared in the Fleet Admiral's office with a slight flicker in the air.
Sengoku, Garp, Kuzan, and several vice admirals, all of whom had remained in his office after his brief disappearance. His arrival didn't surprise them, as Blaze had mentioned before leaving that he would be back in a few minutes.
Is everything okay, Blaze? You're back so soon? Sengoku asked.
Naturally, nothing happened since I went there in person. Blaze chuckled and soon his expression turned serious as his gaze swept over everyone in the room. Actually, I have something important to announce. Hearing his words, the room fell into silence as everyone listened with solemn expressions. I am going to have a decisive battle with the world government today.
The room fell into stunned silence. Sengoku's eyes widened, even usually carefree Garp showed an exaggerated expression while Kuzan stayed silent. The vice admirals, too, were visibly taken aback. No way. I won't allow it, Sengoku rejected Blaze's idea outright. I'm not asking for your permission, Sengoku-san.
Blaze retorted.
Ha 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 ha.
Garp's loud laughter filled the room, causing veins to bulge on Sengoku's forehead.
Blaze continued. It's inevitable.
Everything is as per plan and I've prepared for this moment for a long time.
I won't fail.
Kuzan stood up, his expression showed rare seriousness. You are really bold, Blaze.
So, what do you need us to do? Blaze looked at Kuzan and said, once the world government falls, there will be chaos. Their collapse will create a vacuum that could invite various troubles.
I need the Marines to be prepared to confront these problems and maintain stability across the 4 seas in the first half of the Grand Line.
As for the New World, I have my own plans.
So, concentrate our forces on the 4 seas in paradise. That wraps up this part of What If Transmigrated into one piece and became a Marine.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned.
Quick reminder.
The series What If Transmigrated into one piece and became a Marine will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly at the end of the story. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel.
I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if a venerated soul reincarnated in Danmachi world? What if transmigrated and taking over Ichigo's body? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next.
Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.